Welcome to 96.3 FM New York. Today we have five wonderful guests from the novel Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Our first guest is the 30-year-old fierce and rebellious fireman, Mr. Guy Montage. Montage has a fierce grin, shiny eyes. He is courageous and narrow-minded. His ambitions are to understand the meaning of words, and his main concerns in life are the society and the law keeping the citizens and himself censored from the knowledge found in books. Mr. Montage on page 37, it is quoted, "Your hands closed like a mouth, crushed the book with wild devotion, with an insanity of mildness to your chest. Tell me how you felt when you secretly took that book. Why did you go against your own government to perform this rebellious act?"
Well, after so many years of burning books and believing that words meant nothing in life, I became curious towards the knowledge that has been hidden in today's society. After spending time with my neighbor, Clarice McClellan, she has opened my eyes to the realistic world around us. Taking that book sent fear running through my mind, but as well sent a bolt of energy because at last I was in contact with the education I had been censored to my entire life. The influence I gained from Professor Faber and Clarice made me realize that the government was only keeping its citizens deaf and blind from the real world around us. A war was going on and lives were being lost, but no one cared. Everyone believed books were useless and that the parlor walls were real education. I wanted to understand the meaning of words and have everyone around listen to what I have to say. Books are an important aspect in life, and if I have to risk my life and rebel against the government, then I will.
In the novel, there is a scene where you and Captain Beatty are having a discussion on whether Mildred, your own wife, called the alarm on you. As he tries to insult you and strikes a heavy blow to your head, causing the green bullet in your ear to fall on the sidewalk, he threatens to drop in on your friend Faber. On page 119, it states, you twitch the safety catch on the flamethrower. When Beatty tells you to hand it over, he then becomes a striking blaze, a jumping, sprawling, gibbering mannequin, no longer human or known, all withering flame on the lawn. Tell me what you experienced as you burned your own captain who once influenced you when you enjoyed being a firefighter. Explain the thoughts that were running through your mind at that very moment.
10 years ago, when I first became a fireman, I enjoyed burning books and destroying the homes of those who owned these useless items. Captain Beatty was my mentor and enforced the rules of society. Throughout all these years to this present day, I was blinded to the world and never knew that real education existed in the novels that we burnt. Professor Faber influenced me to learn the truth about books. He taught me that the answer to my happiness was not in books, but rather in the details of books. Soon, I began to understand that books are very important and valuable because they have quality and contain the deep meanings and truth of life. Captain Beatty only wanted to keep me away from understanding the meaning of words, and I couldn't take it anymore. As I burnt my own captain, I felt guilt. I experienced the dreadful feelings that would soon haunt me in my sleep. I had many thoughts going through my mind. I couldn't believe what I had just done because it seemed as though just yesterday Captain Beatty and I were laughing and enjoying the smell of burnt books. I was emotionless, shocked, and panicked. Never in my life have I ever imagined to kill a person by my own hands. After the gruesome death of my own captain, I realized I was not the same Guy Montag. I experienced a new change in my life and a new change in my personality. For the first time, I was thinking for myself.
In the novel on page 13, as soon as you arrive home from your conversation with Clarice, you find your wife overdosed on sleeping pills. Explain how you felt at that moment. Why do you believe your wife harmed herself in this manner?
When I arrived home, I did not expect to see Mildred unconscious or overdosed on sleeping pills. As I quoted, her face was like a snow-covered island upon which rain might fall, but it felt no rain, over which clouds might pass their moving shadow. There's only the singing of the thimble wasp in her tamped shut ears, and her eyes all glass and breath going in and out, softly, faintly, in and out of her nostrils, and her not caring whether it came or when it came. I was shocked and panicked. I didn't know what to do. The only thought in my mind was to call the emergency hospital. As I began questioning life, I realized that the only reason Mildred could have done this to herself was because she was unhappy. Everyone in this world was unhappy, but no one knew why. No one knew how to find their true happiness in life.
On page 39, when the woman refuses to leave her own home to have her house and books burned away, how did you feel when she revealed a kitchen match in her hand? While you and the rest of the firemen watched as she burned alive with her books, how did the experience affect you? Explain.
When the alarm was called in, I thought the same routine would occur. We would find the woman's books and set them on fire, along with her home. When she did not want to leave with us, I was confused because why would someone want to risk their life dying for books that were worthless in life? When the men began setting up the kerosene to burn the vast amount of books, the woman only touched the covers of the drenched novels and took out a kitchen match. When she showed us, I was speechless. I didn't know what to think. Captain Beatty told her he would count to 10 before lighting the entire house on fire. She did not care and let the match drop. As we watched her burn alive with the books all around her, I was emotionless. I could not understand why she believed books had a value in life. I only wondered why she believed they were important. The experience of watching an innocent woman die for her books only led me to think more about why the society believed books were dangerous and worthless. The second guest is Miss Montag, also known as Millie or Mildred. Mildred Montag is in her late 20s to early 30s. She has a pale face and shiny eyes. Mildred is selfish, heartless, and shallow. Her ambitions are to stay with her family. Mildred's hobbies are watching the parlor walls. Her main concerns in life are having Beatty and the other firemen burn down the house and the family because of books hidden in the ventilator. As I was reading the beginning of Fahrenheit 451, I noticed that you didn't act as if you were happy to be Montag's wife. In fact, when Montag asks you where you both had first met, your response was, I don't know. Evaluate the reason why in so many years the relationship between you and your husband has changed.
After so many years, Montage and I have come to different terms. He enjoys his job, and I enjoy talking to the family. I love learning new things from the family and being involved in their shows. Once you have lived for so long with one person, things change, and you start to realize you have to find happiness in other things. I find my happiness through the parlor walls, and wish we could get a fourth wall installed. Life would be so much better. As for Montage, she believes we are doing just fine. Sometimes I wonder if he ever loves me enough to make me and the family happy.
Explain your opinion about the firemen burning books and even burning people's houses.
Well, books are worthless in life. They teach us nothing and only keep people unhappy. I believe books should burn because they have no value in life. Why would someone want to read words that mean absolutely nothing? People who own books secretly should be punished for this act. Their houses should be burnt and as well because one may never know if there are more books hidden. Those who have done such a foolish mistake of owning books will learn from their consequences.
Miss Montag, imagine you had the choice to choose whether to stay in your house with your family or go to save Guy Montag. Which one would you choose?
If I had
Explain. My bad.
If I had to choose between saving my husband or staying at home with the family, I would stay with my family. My family has always been there for me, to keep me happy and entertained. My friends and I always enjoy the shows and we love to act along with the characters on the screen. I don't know what I would do without my family. They help me become happy.
On page 114, there's a scene where Captain Beatty has brought Montag to burn down your home. Why did you call the alarm on him? Why did you leave Montag all alone instead of staying with him? Explain.
Montage was becoming a whole different person. He wasn't the man I married. He was risking both our lives and the family. Oh, the family. He caused this trouble. He killed the family. I couldn't stay in a house where books were hidden. I was afraid to be burned alive. If Beatty ever found out, I had no other choice but to call the alarm on him. After he read poetry to my friends and I knew Montage had changed. He became rebellious and I couldn't live my life with a man who could risk his life for a worthless book. My love for Montage was not true and I had to leave. I had to leave my life on my own and find a way to get my family back. Montage had this coming for him and he deserved to be alone. He wanted to find his happiness, so I let him. Our third guest is Mr. Beatty Black, also known as Captain Beatty. He is in his late 30s to early 40s. Captain Beatty has a face sunburnt by fires and bluish ash smeared cheeks. He is well read and emotionless. Mr. Black's ambitions are to keep the society censored from real education that is found in books. His main concerns in life are burning down the houses of those who own books and preventing them to understand the meaning of words. Captain Beatty. On page 62, you quote to Montage. At least once in his career, every fireman gets an itch. What do the books say, he wonders. Oh, to scratch that itch, Well, Montage, take my word for it. I'd have to read a few in my time to know what I was about. And the books say nothing. Nothing you can teach or believe. Captain Beatty, what do you mean by that statement? Explain.
What I meant was that there's at least one moment in the life of a fireman where he becomes curious towards what is hidden in books. Back then, when I first became a fireman, I had the same curiosity. I wanted to know why so many people owned books, and I wanted to know why they were such a threat to society. The first time I read a book, I soon came to learn that it meant nothing. Books only led to people becoming unhappy, and they were a waste of time. Nothing can be taught or believed in books because the words will never make sense. Books do not contain a value in life and therefore should be burned.
Captain Beatty, you always knew about Montague's rebellious ideas. Tell me, on page 110, when you brought Montague to burn his own home after he was turned in by his own wife and her friends, why didn't you do it sooner when the first alarm was called? Why did you punish him in this sort of manner? Explain.
When I caught on to Montague's curiosity, I soon became aware that he had taken a book the night the old woman burned herself alive in her own home. Montague was playing rebellious acts, and I could not let him go unpunished. When the first alarm was called in, I thought Montague would have changed and by then gotten rid of the books. He made a silly mistake and continued on with his foolish beliefs. To teach him a lesson, I brought him to his own home and made him burn the entire place down. I wanted him to understand how foolish he was and how he had destroyed his life because of books. He risked his life for absolutely no reason, and I wanted him to get what he deserved.
On page 119, when Montague grabbed the flamethrower and twitched the safety catch on, how did you feel at that moment? Did you believe Montague was going to burn you alive? Why or why not? Explain.
When Montague grabbed the flamethrower, I wasn't afraid at that moment. I thought that one way or another Montague would give up and face the consequences that awaited him. At the time, I did not believe Montague was going to burn me alive. I did not believe he was capable of such murder, and I did not believe he had the heart to do so. I was confident enough to believe that I could persuade him to put the flamethrower away and punish him for what he had done.